The bar went silent the second the glass hit the floor, shards glittered under the dim neon like broken stars, and in that instant, time stopped breathing. Lucy froze, 21, trembling, the sleeve of her uniform torn clean by a drunk's fist. His laughter sliced through the music. "Come on, sweetheart," he slurred. "Let's see who's gonna save you now." But from the corner, a chair scraped, boots thudded heavy against the wooden floor. A tall man rose, broad shoulders under a weathered leather jacket, ink crawling up his neck like fire. The red-winged skull of the Hells Angels burned bright on his back. He cracked his knuckles once. "You picked the wrong bar tonight," he said quietly, voice gravel and smoke. "And the wrong girl." The jukebox hummed in the background, stuck on a half-played blues song. Everyone watched, frozen between fear and awe. The drunk man sneered, until Ryder's fist met his jaw. One sound. One breath. One crash. When the man hit the floor, silence screamed louder than violence ever could. Lucy gasped, clutching her torn shirt. Ryder tossed her his jacket, his eyes softer now. "No one touches you like that," he murmured. "Not while I'm breathing." That night, something shifted, not just in the bar, but in the people everyone called outlaws, because sometimes the men society fears the most are the ones who still believe in right and wrong, and sometimes, heroes wear leather and scars instead of capes. The Rusty Spur Bar was the kind of place people drove past without looking twice. A flickering neon sign, sticky floors, a jukebox that only played songs older than the bartender himself. But for Lucy, it wasn't just a bar, it was survival. She worked double shifts, always with a tired smile, saving dollar by dollar for her little brother, Adam, who dreamed of college. Their parents were gone, debts weren't, and life didn't care if she was exhausted. Still, she never complained. Most nights were loud but safe. The local bikers, Ryder's crew, looked rough, but they treated her with respect. They'd tease, tip well, and make sure no one got too rowdy. She'd grown to trust them, especially Ryder, a man of few words, haunted eyes, and tattoos that told stories he never spoke of. But that night, the piece cracked like glass. The man who walked in didn't belong. His swagger wasn't confidence, it was cruelty. From the moment he ordered his first drink, Lucy felt the wrongness, the kind that crawls under your skin. She served him quickly, trying to move on, but he wanted attention. When he grabbed her wrist, her heart froze. When he tore her shirt, her world did. The sound of breaking glass pulled every gaze his way, and then, silenced. A storm waiting to break. Ryder stood from his booth, shadows bending around him. He didn't shout. Didn't threaten. He just walked. Each step made the floorboards groan, each breath in the room held hostage by what would happen next. "You done?" he asked the man. The drunk spat. "Mind your business, old man." Ryder's lips barely moved. "She is my business." Then came the sound of bone meeting bone. The man dropped, out cold. No one cheered. They didn't have to. The message was louder than any applause. Lucy stood frozen. Tears welled, but not from pain, from relief. Ryder took off his jacket, draped it over her shoulders. "You're safe," he said simply. "You don't gotta thank me." But she did. Days later, she showed up at the Hells Angels garage, clutching a brown paper bag. Inside, a homemade apple pie. She handed it to Ryder with shaking hands. "I just wanted to thank you," she said. "Not for what you did. For reminding me I'm not invisible." Ryder smiled, the kind of smile that cracked a stone face. "Kid," he said, "you didn't need saving. You just needed someone to remind you how strong you already are." Over time, Lucy became a part of their world, the unlikely angel among devils. She patched their jackets, organized charity rides for veterans, even convinced them to donate to the local orphanage. The town that once feared the bikers began to see them differently. Because of her, they called her Lil Angel, a name she wore like armor. Ryder watched her grow stronger. He saw how she laughed again, how she found family among outcasts. And in her kindness, he found redemption. The rage that once drove him to fights now pushed him to protect, to build, to care, but peace never lasts forever. Months later, word spread, the man who had attacked Lucy was out. He came back to Reno, looking meaner, emptier, and angrier. The night he walked into the bar again, the air thickened. Ryder rose instantly, ready for another fight, but Lucy stepped forward first. "Let me," she said. The man sneered, but Lucy's eyes didn't flinch. "You don't scare me anymore," she said. "Because real men protect. Real strength forgives." He couldn't look her in the eye. He muttered something and walked out. Just like that, the storm was over, not with fists, but with courage. Ryder exhaled, his chest heavy with pride. "You did it," he whispered. "No," Lucy said softly. "We did." That evening, the sunset bled gold over the Nevada desert. The bikes lined up outside, chrome glinting like mirrors of the past. Lucy stood next to Ryder, wind tugging at her hair, the scent of oil and freedom mixing in the air. "You saved me once," she said quietly. Ryder shook his head. "Nah, kid. You saved us. You made us remember what it means to stand for something again." He looked at the fading sun and smiled, for the first time in years, because sometimes salvation doesn't come from priests or prayers, sometimes it rides in on two wheels, leather, and a broken heart that still believes in good. And somewhere between the roar of engines and the silence after forgiveness, they all found peace.